Hi friends, welcome to Harmony Hills Home and Garden. I'm Jenny and we live and garden here in Baltimore, Maryland, Zone 7. Yesterday I shared part 1 of my very thorough front yard garden tour. Today I am finishing that up and sharing part 2. So come with me and let's see the rest of the front yard. So we're making progress on our tour. We've done the south side. Now we need to talk about the north side and the shrub border. Real quick, let's take a peek at what's happening on the front porch. These are still my pansies from the spring. Can you believe it? They're very profuse. They keep growing, they keep flowering. I'm not going to take them out until they stop. The center still has the ready refill container in it. You can see that's the edge of the container. And the bulbs are all still down in there. I did take out the dead foliage of all the bulbs, but I just pushed these pansy plants in like that, and they cover that up. And they're very profuse still. And same thing in the urns up here. They're just going gangbusters. So I'm going to continue to let them grow here, see what they do. Now the sweet peas, they did grow up one stalk of sweet peas here. And they did flower like 4 flowers. So I think the sweet peas could probably just be taken out at this point. But the violas, or rather the pansies, are still going really strong. And same thing on this side. Exactly the same thing on this side. Still going strong, still looking nice, still putting out blooms. Same thing up here. These are a little less vigorous than the one on the other side, but still doing pretty well. Come around here, you. And these sweet peas had more stems, and so it also had a few more flowers. But again, they're pretty much done. So, oh look, there's still some blooms right there coming on. So I would say the sweet peas were somewhat successful, but the pansies, they did really well. All right, so let's just stand here and do a little pano here. There's a lot to see in this garden. Maybe I'll pick up the pace a little bit. Let's come over this way first. Another orange rocket, symmetry with the other side. Another Taylor juniper, symmetry with the other side. Another mahogany splendor. This is a holly bush that we trimmed back really hard last year, and it returned and it's starting to grow back out. It'll take a while for it to look good, but I'm happy to see that it did decide to come back. If it doesn't go fast enough, it'll come out, but so far it's doing all right. This container garden is doing pretty well as well. Pretty much the same status as the other one. The Homestead Purple Verbena had been trimmed way back, and it's just now starting to come back out. But everything else is doing really well. Very happy with that. This rhododendron, which I don't know the name of, bloomed beautifully this year. I could probably stand to go through and pull off the spent blossoms that make it look a little nicer. But you can see it's starting to put on some new growth now. That's the season. So if you wanted to trim for size your rhododendrons, now's the time to do it, right before it puts on that new growth. And okay, let's turn around and do this way. This is that same spirea as on the other side. It's finished blooming almost and ready for a trim. Here's the double red knockout rose. Again, this was totally covered with blossoms 10 days ago. Just a couple of straggling remains, and there's some new buds coming. Liatris getting ready to bloom. Blue Star Juniper. This container's doing well. It looks a little chlorotic, so I need to get some fertilizer in here. But the salvia is doing great, and this one has leftover pansies and violas and some Dusty Miller. And these pansies and violas are not quite as beautiful as the ones that are up on the front porch, but they're still beautiful enough. Once in a while I come through here and I trim stuff like this off so that they keep looking nice. But yeah, they're still hanging in there. These are Montauk daisies that, oh my gosh, the deer have eaten them. Look at that. Oh, that wasn't like that yesterday. Did they do that last night? All right, well, I guess the deer gave my daisies a Chelsea chop. Okay. I need to spray, apparently. These verbena, we've already looked at those. Again, on this side, we don't have the irrigation buried yet. So here's a Montauk daisy that did not get eaten by the deer. So this is what it would have looked like. Oh, some of it did. Look at that. But this part didn't. Maybe it didn't want to get its face poked with this root. Interesting. So this garden, very lush and full, except at the front. I always end up leaving too much room at the front of my gardens, so I'm going to figure that out. But in general, things are looking nice. More blue ageratum. This is actually two different plants commingling. I planted one of my Nicotiana plants here purposefully for this agastache to give it some support. And so they intermingle. It looks like one big plant that's blooming right now. But when the agastache blooms, coming up, it'll look like it has two different kinds of blossoms on it. Lots of lush and full plants in here. Oh, I'm surprised this... Oh no, the deer did get this. Look at that. That's been a while ago. Because it's already started to flush out. This is a phlox. And the... Oh, you know what? No, I actually pinched that off. Oh. So yeah, I pinched off the phlox so that it would be a stronger and healthier plant, doing the Chelsea chop, so they say. So I wonder, did I do that to the daisies too? Maybe I did. I don't remember. So anyway, so yeah, I had trimmed this off and now it's putting out some side shoots. So that's good news. This is a phlox. It is famous white eye phlox. Ascot rainbow euphorbia blooming beautifully. Fairy rose, gorgeous. On the edge of being done. There's another orange rocket barberry. Now these are pretty close together. I might move the barberry because the rose wants a little bit more room than it has right now. But actually you can see down in here that there is room in the garden. It's just that the stems of this rose are sprawling. So let's see, here's some more Maynite salvia and Caradonna salvia. Needs deadheaded. This is an echinacea that I don't recall which one this is, but look how tall it is. It's like 3 feet tall. It's awesome. It's getting ready to bloom. I don't recall which one this is. Behind it, there's another hyssop. I think that is Blue Fortune hyssop, as is that one over there, Blue Fortune. So they'll be blooming here in a little while. Soft Touch Holly. This is the Encore Azalea, the autumn twist that was here when we moved into the house, and it took so much deer damage this spring and had no blooms, but look, it's put on all this new growth. There were basically no leaves on it 3 months ago at all, and now it's pretty well recovered, so we're going to let it stay. I had talked about pulling it out because it was so ugly, but it's doing all right. Here's another stand of irises that needs to be divided in the fall. These are white, pure white, gorgeous. My lily tree, look how many buds. Whew, gorgeous. Miss Kim lilac here has already bloomed, of course, looking very healthy and happy. More ageratum. Now I put in some vinca. This is annual vinca. It's a spreader, just to fill in some of this gap in front of the plants. And I did that all the way down to over there. So we've got some annuals down here in the front that'll hopefully give some cover up this brown edge here a little bit. Oh, I should have done this tour last week because this variegated iris was blooming gorgeously. More Nicotiana blooms here. This is calamint. It'll have white blossoms on it here in a little while. Another Gerard's Rainbow Leucothui doing all right. More Liatris gonna bloom soon. Oh, those deer are evil. Look what they did to Juliet. My Juliet rose. Ugh. I am not a happy person at this moment. Deep breaths, Jenny. It's just a plant. So I've talked a lot of times about how we have deer in our neighborhood and they do damage on my gardens and I spray for them and so forth. Well, I haven't sprayed in a couple of weeks because for the last at least 7 or 8 days, we've had rain every day. So I haven't had to water, and also I haven't been in the garden all that much, partly because of the rain, partly because I've been busy with other parts of my life. So I haven't been out here as fastidiously as I had been prior to that. And so now I see that I've taken deer damage to things since I last walked the garden, which is a real shame because, darn it, I will be learning my lesson and staying up on my deer spray even if we have periods of heavy rain. Well, hopefully Miss Juliet Rose down here will recover and put out some new shoots for us this year. Behind that, a nice big stand of monkshood, looking really good. This is a Shirley Temple peony that bloomed beautifully this spring. I've cut back my lamb's ear because it was scraggly and it was covering my stepping stones. So I'll be planting some more things in here, some things I have in my plant stash. My Gomphrena container is doing pretty well. I think it's actually wetter than it wants to be. That's why it's not chock full of flowers. I'll probably need to remove most of the emitters and just leave one emitter so that it'll dry out more. These are my Himalayan blue poppies that I grew from seed in winter sowing, and they're sporadically giving me one blossom at a time. I wouldn't call that blue. I'd call that pinky mauvey taupey lavender, but it's still pretty. I put them in this cage because they were just laying on the ground, and most of them are done. You can see we've got seed pods forming, and I'm going to let these dry and then we'll have new seeds for next time. Dragon Lady Holly, doing very well. Lots of new growth and lots of berries. That's my China Boy Holly that pollinates these Dragon Ladies. He's doing well. Here's some more Liatris. Here's some Vinca that I just planted. You'll see a video on that soon. Dahlias. I trimmed off the tops of these dahlias. This wasn't deer damage. So they're doing very well. These are the ones I grew from tubers and started inside in my plant space. And they're doing very well. Lifestyle and American Dawn and the Gallery Monet are already blooming. This is like the 4th bloom on this one and the 1st bloom on this one. And they're really nice. I do have a lot of earwigs in this garden, and so you can see earwig damage on the leaves. Especially down here. I did bait for them, so the damage has paused at least. I need to keep the earwig bait. I use Sluggo Plus for that. I need to keep that going. Here's my Sugar Tip Rose of Sharon, and dang it, the deer ate that too. Look at that. Ugh. And they got my Verbena bonariensis in the back there. They must have been hungry. They didn't. Oh, did they eat the clethra? No, they didn't seem to eat the clethra. Not clethra, Clayera. They did eat the clethra on the other side of the garden, but not the Clayera. They left my Liripia alone. These are some zinnias. Ooh, why are these failing? Look at that. What's wrong with that? These are okay. That one's struggling. That one's dead. I wonder what's going on there. All right, here's some dahlias. I should get some stakes going on them, shouldn't I? That one's laning over. This is Karma Chalk. At least that's what it's supposed to be. But I think these 3 are supposed to be all Karma Chalk, but you can see how these stems are green and those stems are brown or bronze. I think this one is not Karma Chalk. You tell me, is this what Karma Chalk flowers look like? I don't know. It's beautiful, whatever it is. It's nice and velvety, deep, deep red. It's beautiful. I just don't know if it's Karma Chalk. This is a Weigela. This is the Wine and Roses. So I don't know if this is what it's supposed to look like. It's kind of weird looking. Like, those are the leftovers of the flowers, I think. All these little brown stemmy things. I don't know. Some of them are new leaves coming, and some of them is leftover flower anthers or something. I don't know. It looks kind of funky to me. I'm hoping that it's what it's supposed to be. Here's some straw flowers that are beautifully blooming. I've never grown these before. I grew these from seed this year, and they're just like as advertised. They feel like paper. Interesting. And they're really pretty. I like the colors. I only have 4 plants of them. I should have planted more. This is my button bush. It's put on a lot of growth. And look here. First button that I've seen. And there's one here. And there's one coming here. So it looks like at the end of every stem it's going to put on at least 1 button. Hopefully we'll get more than that. Never grown this plant before. Oh, look here. More than 1 button. Yay, good to know. Let's see here. Back here, Cosmos from seed. That is the yellow star cactus type dahlia. Look at that, all those blooms on it already. I need to get some staking going on it so it doesn't flop. More Liatris, HS Flame dahlias. These are singles with the reddish color, very pretty. I do have earwig damage on them. Lots of buds coming. Eastern Snowball Viburnum shrub back there doing fine. I mentioned again, I already said I put in some vinca. I got white vinca and lavender. I also put in some salvia. These are just annual salvias. 4 here and 4 down there. And so hopefully that'll bring a little bit more color to the garden as well. Just put those in so they haven't really progressed yet. This was my little spire, or no, my little Henry Itea sweet spire, and it did bloom. I didn't ever pick up a scent on it, but it did bloom, and now it's putting on lots of new growth. It looks like it needs a little bit of iron, so I'll get some fertilizer on it. This is a Japanese holly. Could stand a haircut, couldn't it? This is winter red winterberry. Look at all the blossoms on it. These hopefully will all be pollinated and turned into little berries. Come on, focus. There we go. So all hopefully turn into red berries. This is being pollinated by the shrub down there, with any luck. So the rest of the shrubs are all doing well. This is the beautyberry that has recovered. Remember, I cut it all the way down to the ground and then transplanted it, and it's fully recovering. That's good. Skip laurel's all doing fine. The deer have left it alone, so I guess they've decided they don't really like it. They did eat on it in the late winter, but not since then. Here's another mahogany splendor. I also have a lot of weeds, of course, but also I put in some foxgloves in here to see if maybe they would grow, but I think they're too shady, so we'll see. Back this way, the viburnum experiment did not work out the way I wanted it to. 3 of these are all that glitters. 1, 2, 3. And I was hoping they would be pollinated by this guy, which is a blue muffin. So the blue muffin is a male, or I think it's got both male and female parts because it actually pollinated itself. But I was hoping that this would bloom at the same time as these so that we'd get berries on these, but it didn't. So I'm going to need to find an all that glows viburnum to plant somewhere to pollinate these guys. But actually, this one and this one didn't even bloom this year. This one's the only one that bloomed. And no berries formed because it wasn't pollinated. And we're getting windy. And then here's the Southern Gentleman winterberry. And he is the male pollinator for the winter red that's blooming down that way right now. And I think as long as the blooms come at the same time, the pollination down there will happen just fine. All right, we have just a little bit more to talk about in the front garden, but I'm going to take you a different direction. Work in progress here. We're still working. We'll get some different stones to match these. These are my temporary fix for the mail carrier. But anyway, we'll go this way. We're going to have this connected here. All right, so let's talk about, oh, those deer, look at that. They came through last night. This was not like this yesterday. Dang. And I even knew that these were high risk for deer damage. Dang it. All right, well, these are Halcyon hostas that the deer love, as you can see. And here is a glacier blue euphorbia. These are purple cone flowers. I think these are powwow wild berry as well. And the deer got to them. Dang. This is a Baptisia, just the species purple spike Baptisia. You can see these are the leftover flower spikes, and we did get some seed pods on them. And around this way. Oh, these are messy looking, aren't they? These are supposed to be Dutch iris that would bloom for me, but they have put on greenery and never put on any bloom spikes. These are my fence pots that I put together recently, and it's got super bells in it, and the super bells are not blooming profusely. I think they're too wet. So I might just remove the irrigation altogether. This is an Emerald Spires euonymus. I like its form. It's kind of tall and thin. It doesn't grow very much. You can see it's only put on like 6, maybe 4 or 6 leaves on the end of each tip. Like this much is new this year. The rest of that was here last year. So it's slow growing, and it'll only reach, I think, 5 to 6 feet. So at most it'll get this tall, but probably even take a long time to get there. This needs to be cleaned up, these lamb's ears. I might take them out of here. I don't know. And what did I want to show you over here? Right, this 4th Taylor juniper right here. There's the rhododendron that we've already looked at. The back side of this flower bed, behind these lilies, we've got a nice big stand of, this is Miracle Horizon St. John's wort, or what's the botanical name for St. John's wort? It escapes my mind. Darn. Anyway, this is Miracle Horizon variety of St. John's wort, and they are hardy. They get woody, but they're not as big and shrubby as some other St. John's wort. They just barely get woody. This is last year's woody stem, and you can see the growth it put on this year. But it has pretty bright flowers with pretty stamens, and then it puts on these berries, which turn red, and these are great for using in cut flower arrangements after the berries have turned. I have a dahlia here that the tuber stayed in the ground over winter. I thought I got it out, but apparently I didn't, so I've got a dahlia growing. And I had some more snapdragons back in behind there, but they are done blooming now, and they're struggling for light, so they're not doing as well as the ones that are over there. On the rose arbor, I had been trying to grow sweet peas, but you can see they've been pretty abysmal. So, and then that red thing down in there is an amaranth, and it's only about 6 or 8 inches tall right now. So I have a clematis that I bought that I'm going to put on this instead. I just haven't done it yet. Another mahogany splendor. Here's the 4th of 4 sunshine ligustrum, and it's tiny. It's like the size of a large watermelon instead of a big shrub. And this one looks the best, I think, of all the 4 of them, but still not great. Too small, too susceptible to dieback in the winter. Here I've got a big stand of more status. And I think I put them too far apart because they just look scraggly and weedy. Dave doesn't like the way they look at all. And honestly, I'm not really a fan of how they look either, so they may not be long for this world. There's the last of my autumn twist azaleas. This is the one that just really looked terrible. I gave it a hard prune, took out all the dead wood, and now it just has a few stems of growth on it. So we'll see how that goes. It might stay, it might not. I put in some foxglove babies here for next year. And this is Husker Red Penstemon. Looks like some animal or maybe rain has gotten and crushed out the middle of it, but it's done blooming. It was blooming really nicely for about 2 weeks, but now it's done. And this is really similar to the one that's over there under that crepe myrtle, but that one is all green leaves with white flowers, and this one has, as you can see, red colors on it. Burgundy, red stems and burgundy on the leaves. So this is Husker Red. And I don't know, is there a Husker White? If so, that's probably what that is. We do have some creeping phlox along here that did okay. It's drier than it was here, but now we have irrigation, so it should be happier. And one more plant, maybe a few more. Here's, this is a double play artisan spirea. It has rust really bad, so I don't know what to do for that. And also, this is not on any type of irrigation. I might need to change that, at least in this, its first year. And then down this way, just a real quick peek. This is my Korean spice viburnum. And underneath that, we've got 2 different hellebores that are nice and strong and vigorous. So I'm happy with those. Well, friends, that is the completion of my front garden tour. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. If you have any questions about the plants that I mentioned, just put them in the comment section down below. I'll be happy to answer your questions. I think in the interest of time and getting this out quickly, I'm not going to be putting the plant names on the screen, so I hope you can understand. I think I named everything though, and if you have any questions about things, you can ask me in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I will have in-depth tours of the backyard coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. I hope I'll see you again in another video real soon. Have a great day in your garden, friends. Take care. Bye-bye.